Hi, this is Matthew Fermi from Soldiers of Fortune Paintball, and I'm here on Night Shadow Productions going through the Proto SLG. The reason why we're putting this up on video is because I've come across a very odd repair. The customer came in and the gun initially was just leaking out of the back cap here. Now upon further inspection, the bolt was getting stuck in the breech. So the reason why we are doing this video is because it's such a small occurrence, and we figure we might as well let users of this paintball marker know how to repair it, or if they're not sure what is wrong with their marker, they can send it in to dye, or hopefully their local paintball shop can take care of the problem.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game!
So basically what the problem is with the Proto SLG, you gotta remember this is an 09, so it has shot a lot of paintballs. In the design of the gun, it runs similar to a Spider, where it's a sear tripper. And I will take this apart to show you what I mean by a sear tripper. Now what the gun is doing is, every time it fires, the bolt is flying forward and is hitting a stopper, a metal one here, inside your body. And what happens is each time it flies forward, the bolt is striking it and it starts mushrooming. Now what I mean by mushrooming is you have a hole in your breech where your bolt comes through and actually fires your paintball. Now what happens is, as this outside is getting impacted, it's pressing the metal together, and when the metal gets pressed together, it starts closing in. And when it starts closing in, your bolt gets stuck. That's what they mean by mushrooming. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to fix this problem. Now I was fortunate enough to talk to a technician at Dye to figure this problem out. He was very helpful. They have excellent customer service. And like I said, especially if you're in the US, I suggest 100% ship your gun to Dye. If you live outside of the US, shipping is very expensive. So I really suggest, if you watch this video, hopefully you can attempt this on your own, or hopefully your local paintball store will be able to help you. For example, I had to attempt this because we are in Canada, and the Dye Tech figured it'd be about $50 shipping. So I just opened up the side covers to get the eyes out. Now this gun already has been repaired, but I called Night Shadow up as soon as I got this in and saw the problem, and I wanted him to record this because this is, like I said, I fix a lot of guns. This is something I've never seen before, and again, it wasn't until I talked to the tech at Dye that he was able to help me with this problem. So we're going to take the trigger frame off first. Okay, now what I mean by a sear tripper, you can see there's your sear. Looks just like a Spider, maybe a Spider VS2 back in the day. Probably you'd have to be older to remember that one. Now I'm going to take out the back. Now hopefully Ron will be able to focus in on the area in which I polished. Now the first thing is what I was describing with the bolt before. You have your bolt here. Your gun fires. So by firing, I mean your sear is pushed up from the mechanism within your trigger frame. Sear's pushed up, drops the front part, which is holding on. You can see the marks on the bolt here from the sear dropping. So what happens is the sear drops, the gun with the pressure shoots it forward. You can see me moving it, and this then proceeds past the breech here and fires. Now what happens though is this part back here stops the forward motion with a chamber in here. That's the part that mushrooms. Now in order to clean this bolt out, you have to use, I want to say the word Dremel. Dremel is the actual name of the company. You want to use a rotary tool. Now the rotary tool, it's very simple. You can see sandpaper on there, spins around. Now, you don't want to wreck your gun. You have to be very, very careful doing this. What you want to do is, you want to start off with an 80 grit sandpaper. Yes, that sounds kind of heavy duty, but I'll show you. If you start off the 120, that's what happens to it. It's not heavy enough. You want to start off with an 80 grit, a little heavier, get the grind down on the part that's been mushroomed in. And that is, if you can see down the breech here, it's actually, I'm trying to point it out properly for you guys, it's actually back here. A black Allen key, that's a smart one. It's actually back here where the damage has happened. So what you want to do is, you'll be inserting your rotary tool within the marker very carefully, because you don't want to start grinding anything else. You have to make sure you have a long enough point, and you have to be hitting that edge back here. Once you get that 80 grit going on it, for me, I was doing it, I would grind it for a minute and a half at a time. Then I would stop grinding, I would take the bolt, lifting this here, and I would try and slide it through to make sure it was nice and easy. Because before, I'd have to force this through with like a squeegee in order to get it to push through. So I kept on doing that, and then once I hit that point, I took the 120 grit, and I just went over it, just polished it off. Get any of that hard grit there, hard surfaces out of the way for making it smoother for the bolt to be firing. And after literally about 20 minutes of just taking my time, try it a bit, try the bolt, it eventually starts sliding through. And once that happened, the gun was fixed. So this is just a show on what to do if your bolt of your gun actually starts getting stuck in your breech and you're not sure what it's about. I looked everywhere I could online for an answer. I did not find one. I suggested a Night Shadow, let's do a video, and thankfully he was able to come by to be able to show you guys this problem. I'm Matt from Soldiers of Fortune, doing this video with Night Shadow Productions. You have yourself a nice day. Beep.
Oh, I forgot to press record.